Well, good evening and welcome to Ironbridge Gorge, to Coalbrookdale in Shropshire, a place where I was born and bred. I'm a Shropshire lad, I'm an old Ludlovian. Very, very, very proud and excited to be able to say that. Here we are on a cardboard Coventry Cathedral, a symbol of hope, a symbol of aspiration, a symbol of rising from the ashes, a symbol of the togetherness, the positivity that we all need at this time, never more so than now. Our young people, our children, are looking to us to guide them, to inspire them. We're looking for our teachers, we're looking for our brave school leaders to stand together. We're looking for business to come together. And it reminds me of 5 years ago when I was here, inspired by the words of the CEO of a bank, the then culture minister, who I know you're going to recognise. Can we roll that video, please, and show everybody what we did a few years ago here in Ironbridge Gorge, Steam Co, launched in Shropshire.
On BBC Radio Shropshire. Good morning, it's 19 minutes to 8. If you heard the sound of a rocket being launched in Coalbrookdale yesterday, don't worry. It was an event aimed at getting young people inspired in science and technology. Ironbridge Gorge Museum Trust has been working with Steam Co to put on a day of workshops, talks and creative stuff for children, their parents and teachers.
Here we are in Ingenuity. The world's first ever steam train was built here by Richard Trevithick, who came up from Cornwall, because nobody in Cornwall could build a boiler strong enough, because only the Shropshire lads and boiler lasses could make boilers strong enough for him. 3 months ago, Matt Hancock, DCMS, launched the Culture is Digital campaign, which made us think, hang on, Ironbridge, culture, digital technology. I was in a school in Telford and there were some children there from really challenged backgrounds who really were being left behind.
If we can get 1 or 2 children just really interested in science, interested in engineering.
So when I thought back to that event we had at Barclays.
It's about bringing creativity to some of the most deprived children in the country.
This time around, we are committed to leaving no one behind, right?
We thought, right, well, let's have a day in Ironbridge. And that's what we've done.
Welcome to Ingenuity.
Any job and there will be tech in there.
It's been incredible. I mean, the community's come together. We've had people from Barclays, we've had people from BT running coding and computational thinking activities. But I think one of the most amazing things that just shows how art connects, quite literally, was Monday morning I got a call from Matt Hancock's office saying Matt's got 10 minutes in his diary, pop down, let's make a video. And we did that, and on the wall behind him was a Damien Hirst painting, a spin painting of the Queen. And today we've had children spin painting on paper plates with pictures of the Queen, inspired by the work of Damien Hirst, inspired by a picture on the wall of the digital culture, media and sport minister, Matt Hancock. So thank you, Matt.
I hope you really think about those STEAM skills, bringing technology and arts together.
Well, there you are, live and direct. 5 years ago here in Ironbridge, and today again in Ironbridge. Well, pretending obviously we're using our imagination. If we can't use our imagination, then who can? Here we are on our cardboard pyramid stage, which we built in pyramid stage. I need a pound swear jar every time I say cardboard pyramid stage, because that's Glastonbury, and obviously this is Coventry Cathedral. So, the cardboard Coventry Cathedral that we built here in Coventry a few months ago, and which we've now built on a school playing fields in schools around the country, in Dorchester recently, and we're going to hear from the brave head teacher of that school community who allowed us to do that, which is absolutely fantastic. And today we're in Coalbrookdale on launching an appeal today for our Inspired to Learn tour. A month ago I went to Dorchester and I worked with the school down there, the Prince of Wales School, which we're going to come to after the next piece, but it was an amazing day. We realised that we need our children to be inspired, our communities, our teachers, our brave school leaders need inspiration now more than ever before. And that's really what we're talking about here. We are talking about...
On BBC Radio Shropshire.
It's going so well.
Good morning, it's 90 minutes to 8. If you heard...
Rid of that. That's what happens when you change the scenes halfway through. It's all a little bit tricksy sometimes, but not to worry. We're here to we're not afraid of failing, particularly today. So we launched that Inspired to Learn tour with two parts. The Aim High session, where we wanted to encourage young people to aim high in life, and that was a live streamed event where we go into schools, and then the Rocket Kids Day, where we actually visit the school physically and run a day of creative activities. We had a lot of interest, but schools are broke. They are broken. They're almost broken financially, and in some cases physically, and in some tragic cases and extreme cases, possibly even psychologically. The schools have taken it. It's a bit like the proverbial pyramid and iceberg. In fact, forget the pyramid. A pyramid, you see it all, don't you? An iceberg, you only see the bit that sticks above the sea, above the surface. You don't realise the work that's going on below the surface, providing for children of care workers, providing for children with special needs, providing for vulnerable children across the board, as well as the children at home, as well as the children in classes. I think it's fair to say that teachers have possibly had one of the most demanding times imaginable this year. And at times like this, we look to people who can inspire, who can connect, who can give us some hope and some inspiration. And I'd like to start this evening with some words from a very, very, very special person, a person who's been a great fan of STEAMco for quite a while now, and that is Richard Gerver. Richard Gerver, I'm not going to repeat his story, but if you know much about him, you'll know that he was a protege of Ken Robinson's. He's been incredibly generous to me with his support across the years and across the board. And he, in fact, has connected me with somebody tonight who's going to be joining us, a very, very special person. So I'd like to just run this short video that Richard's prepared for us, which we're very, very, very grateful to him for. And if we can just play that, please.
Wow. What a year. What a 15 or 16 months. What an extraordinary time to have been able to say we've been human and we've lived through. What will the future say of us? Well, I hope one of the things it'll reflect on is the extraordinary levels of creativity, of collaboration, of togetherness, of human potential that have been demonstrated over the last years of this horrific pandemic, in terms of how science has come together in particular, how medicine has come together, how education has come together to find a pathway through this incredible period of darkness. I am so sorry that I can't be with you this evening for this launch, to be with Nick and STEAMco. Nick is a man who, for me, exudes light, not just over the last 16 months or so, but he is a man with such incredible passion, such incredible vision. His organization, STEAMco, has been fundamental in making extraordinary dreams come true for children across the country. A way of powerfully developing and amplifying their creativity, their links to all of the things that are important, both now and in the future. And it's why I am so glad to be able to endorse STEAMco and their incredible ideas for a summer of creativity, of productivity, of exploration, of togetherness and collaboration. An opportunity to fire children's imaginations and educators' passion for the job they do. Yes, it's been a dark period, and actually, it's not just been a dark year. It's been a pretty dark decade. But you know, one of the things I passionately believe is this, that history tells us that every period of darkness is followed by an incredible explosion in creativity, in ingenuity, in scientific and cultural development, a renaissance. And I truly believe that we are on the cusp of a new renaissance, a renaissance that will be led by our children. And the power of that renaissance will be defined by the way we prepare them for it, as educators, as parents, as businesses. And so it falls on us to create the conditions for that growth to occur. And by the way, it's not going to happen just by putting kids in classrooms and feeding them more and more and more facts and knowledge in a traditional way. It is only going to come from expanding their horizons, their opportunities, and their experiences. We have to find a way to not just protect, but amplify the soft skills that will define the next period of human history. Don't just take my word for it. How about Barry Barish, the 2017 Nobel Prize winner for physics, who told me that when he was looking to recruit research scientists to be part of what became the research into gravitational waves that went on to win a Nobel Prize, he said he could only have people in his team who, A, didn't just have single track minds, but had recent and passionate experience of the arts, of the humanities, as well as the sciences. But also what he said to me was nobody made it into his team if they didn't have the ability to ask stupid questions. Or then there's Manoush Shafiq, who is one of the greatest economists of our generation, a remarkable woman, currently director of the London School of Economics, who has also underlined on numerous occasions that the future of the globe's economy does not depend on what has gone before, but people who have the ability to be creative and innovative and collaborative. And then finally, there's Steve Wozniak, who talks at length about how he and Steve Jobs recruited the people who turned Apple from a little bit of fun in the back end of Steve Jobs' stepdad's garage into the extraordinary world-changing organization it became. And their secret, a promise to each other in the early days that they would never employ anyone who needed managing. So all I can say to you is, please get involved. Please support Nick by providing a school, a group of students, or funding so that Nick can go out and provide this incredible opportunity for young people all over the UK, no matter what their socioeconomic background, no matter what their circumstances. Let's broaden our horizons. Let's build our talent base. Let's find the best and the greatest and the good wherever they may be in our country to help us fire the next great renaissance as we launch a rocket away from the darkness of the last decade. Thank you. Wow. What?
Wonderful to hear Richard Gerver speaking there. Really, really wonderful. And I'm absolutely delighted now that in the interval there, well, not the interval, while we were all sitting there listening attentively, I've just been joined here on the stage by a very special person. Little wave there from Mr. Spracklin. Gary Spracklin, how are you today, Mr. Spracklin?
I'm very well, Nick. It's great to be with you here on the cardboard Coventry Cathedral stage at the launch of our Inspired to Learn 21 campaign. Wonderful words there from Richard. What a fantastic chap he is. And I can't echo enough what he said about you, Nick, and the organisation Steamco and the amazing work that you guys do.
Well, that's very, very kind. It's not about me, but yeah, I'm not here for a load of compliments today, but I appreciate it. And it's frankly people like you being here that really makes it all worthwhile for me. I mean, Richard there, as you know, was very closely associated with Sir Ken Robinson, and I know that Sir Ken Robinson encouraged Richard onto the stage and to move from headship, if you like, to share his knowledge and his inspiration, and he's just been incredible over the years. I mean, what sort of thoughts do you have about that kind of creativity Ken Robinson thing, and how's that informed your practice? Could you give us maybe a sort of 60-second overview of your career journey? I know it's very colourful and very varied, but just give us an idea of how that's influenced it.
Yeah, I'll do my best in that short time frame. But my experiences have been very varied, having worked in small rural school to a large all-through academy, working with children as young as 2 years, 9 months in a preschool setting, right through to 19-year-olds in the post-16, all within one institution. Here at the Prince of Wales School, where I've been head teacher since 2017, I've used those experiences to really inform our ethos to learning, which is the hashtag Inspired to Learn. It's embedded into our culture in everything we do to spark
What a 15 or 16 months.
Carry on. Sorry, that was Richard butting in again. Sorry.
Richard wants to come back. In everything we do, we seek to inspire our young people to light a passion in them that wants to grow and explode. And I've got an example here of one of our pupils in year 4. His name's Lucas. He's a really talented musician and a really talented pupil academically, but he's got a real passion for art. And this is just some of his most recent artwork. He's 9 years old, Nick.
Remarkable,
and this is some of the work he's been producing. This is work from the last few weeks here at school. This is the Roman townhouse in Dorchester. We've been studying the Romans and his still life work. And I'm really excited to let you know today, Nick, that Lucas's work has been accepted into the Royal Academy's summer exhibition.
Wow.
So his be on display as part of the online exhibition. There were over 33,000 entries into that competition. Lucas's work is a piece of work entitled Homeless Man, which is a really empathetic piece that connects with our community. And Lucas's work is going to be on display as part of that Royal Academy exhibition, which is open to all young people. I think it's under the age of 21 or certainly under the age of 18. And he's 9 years old and he's going to have his work on display by the Royal Academy, which is just awesome, isn't it?
Well, I'm lost for words, actually. I find moments like this, Gary, really very special and very moving, actually, because I know it's the work of you and your colleagues there at the school, the whole community, that makes opportunities like that possible for these young people. And tonight is not about politics, certainly not party politics. We might stumble across some policy stuff, but this is about the lives of young people and their communities, because if our children are thriving, our communities thrive. If our schools thrive, our communities thrive. If our communities thrive, our country thrives. And I'm not getting all patriotic. I'm not going to be putting Union Jacks up for this. And it comes down to the work of people like you. And I called you and your colleagues, quite deliberately, brave school leaders, because I met a head teacher in Sunderland 5 years ago. It was an amazingly creative school. And I said, well, hang on, how do you get away with all this creativity? And you're outstanding. How does that work? He said, Nick, Ofsted are clear. They value creativity, but it takes a brave school leader. It takes a brave school leader who understands the value of art and creativity in a young person's life, because it might be their passion, who understands the role of art and creativity in a community, who understands the role of art and creativity to fuel our economy. So I don't use this hashtag brave school leaders lightly. I'd like people to know that it came from a head teacher in a city in this country that, for good or bad, whatever, I'm not judging this, but was very strong on the Brexit thing, the popularism thing, that's very, very strong in Sunderland. But these are schools working really, really hard to push back on the tide. And I salute you all. Now, I think one thing that really touches me particularly about the story you've mentioned there of that young man and his Royal Academy success is that every child in your school is nurtured for what their strengths are around your 5 pillars. Could you maybe talk to us very briefly about the 5 I's of Prince of Wales School, do you think, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So many schools will be familiar with the new Ofsted framework, came into place September 2019. And Ofsted talk a lot about the intent, the implementation and the impact of your curriculum. And there's no hiding that that's really important, not only because it's an Ofsted measure, but it's really important that we understand why we're teaching what we're teaching. And ultimately that we have a clear vision for our subjects across the board, making sure we have a broad and balanced approach. But we like to go deeper than that at the Prince of Wales School. And we do talk about intent, implementation and impact, as many schools do, but we add in an additional 2 I's to that formula, really, and that really helps inform our identity and our culture and ethos here. And the first of those I've mentioned, that is inspiration. We believe that in everything we do, we should seek to inspire our young people. And the 5th one, which is a key pillar of our institution, is inclusion. We believe passionately that the provision that we have is for all children, no matter what their background, no matter what their special educational need or disability. We have a unit role here at the Prince of Wales School for children with complex physical needs. These are children with complex cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, soft spinal bifida, and we have the exact same expectations in terms of the children achieving their potential as we have for any other child. And what we see by having such an inclusive ethos is just the most wonderful, rich learning environment for our young people to learn in. And for me, it's about exposing children to all types of possibilities, whether it's setting rockets off with Nick, or whether it's visiting art exhibitions, or whether it's working with professional dancers or poets, or working with people that are experts in their field. And actually, you know, we made reference in the previous videos there about lockdown and the challenges that's had for us. You know, lockdown was challenging, but it also provided us with amazing opportunities, and being able to connect through virtual platforms such as these and others to talk with other people. During lockdown, we had virtual assemblies with a rhino keeper at Folly Farm Zoo in Wales. We spoke to dog trainers, we spoke to doctors, we spoke to artists, authors, and we really brought a sense of professionalism and culture into the school in new ways that was really, really exciting. And I think, you know, we touched upon something there a minute ago about skills. What are the skills that our children need for the future? You know, we've become obsessed in this country with a knowledge-rich curriculum. We need to start talking about a skills-rich curriculum, Nick. The skills that our young people need to be successful to move forward. What is it that we're seeking to achieve in a lesson? Because you know what, no matter how inspiring you make something, and I could do the most inspiring input on, I don't know, rivers, or I could do the most inspiring input on Florence Nightingale in history, maybe. But if we don't focus on the skills, what's the point of that lesson moving forward? You know, how will it inform their future practice? And actually, a big development point for us here at the Prince of Wales School at the moment is to reframe our lessons around skills, not knowledge.
Well, skills were in fact a bit of a dirty word for several years, weren't they, in many schools, which I find quite bizarre, really, really quite bizarre.
Yeah, it is. And actually, it's what we need to reconnect into and really focus on. And pupil voice is such an important part to play with that. For the last week, Nick, I've been interviewing my pupils. They're all available on our website, actually, under curriculum. Actually, go on, Nick, you're on the website now. Go to curriculum and hover over, go to science. And you'll see our microsite for science. And then on there, if you go to the top, watch the mug shots of my link governors and things. There should be a bar at the top there, Nick, that says impact.
Yes, yeah. Oh, you got little. I've got it. Inspire and dazzle.
Yeah, pupil voice. Yeah, pupil voice. You can go to. So these are what I've been doing recently. Some pupil voice interviews. I don't know if you can play the audio, but click the year 2 one.
The audio may not work, actually. I've got that configured at the moment. But
no problem at all. But people can go and look at these, and they can hear the children talking about what it's like to learn science at the Prince of Wales School. And these are just little snippets, but actually we've put these at the heart of our school development journey, putting the children's voice at the heart of what we do.
Absolutely fantastic. Really, really superb work, Gary. I mean, obviously we've got a lot to cover tonight, but I think you've certainly set the scene there for the amazing work that you do in the school and around inspiration, around inclusion, and the other 3 I's, obviously. I mean, I just want to be very clear. I mean, obviously safeguarding is always a concern of mine. I'm a little bit worried. Who's this guy here that rocked up by the look of it at school one day? Who on earth is that?
That's my official head teacher photograph, Nick.
Oh, hang on, that's you. I didn't recognise you with the wig on.
So this was back in December 2019. This was our North Pole research facility work. We worked with a former parent who actually is living in Scotland now, and he came down and he worked for us for the week as a visiting professor. He doesn't unfortunately have the title of professor in real life, but the children didn't know that. He was Professor Barber for the week, and he was on a North Pole expedition. And we turned our corridor into an ice cave, complete with a model North Pole railways line that ran through, and the children got to ride on the railway through the school. And throughout the week, children worked in mixed ability groups to complete a range of STEAM challenges, so challenges across science, technology, the arts and music, and maths. They had plenty of opportunity to collaborate. And do you know what? I'm a big advocate for mixed age working, Nick. When you see, in my school, the oldest children in year 4 working alongside the children in reception in year 1, the growth you see in those young people is just phenomenal in that week.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I've got a very special guest lined up today, somebody who was introduced to me by Richard Gerver, actually. Look at this. So Gaurav has got a full-on green screen going on there. Can you hear us, Gaurav? Are you on mute? Why can't I hear you? Let me have a look. That's my fault. I had you muted, but I showed you how complicated this is earlier, didn't I? So I'm sure you're going to cut me some slack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit you beside. I'm going to sit you down beside Gary in just a second. Let me just hang on a second. I've got people texting me left, right, and centre now. So Gaurav, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at Let's Localise and how we came to be connected, which is often the way I find I'm getting connected with most people these days.
Yes, I think when you were talking to Gary and explaining the fact that if we take care of the community and the schools, we take care of the nation, we started Let's Localise with that premise, with that basis, right? So the entire concept is based on the fact that it takes a village to raise a child. So what we have started to do is to build local communities around the schools, which is how we got in touch with Chris Tyson, who in turn put us in touch with you. Chris has been a big advocate for us. So the main reason why we started Let's Localise was to be able to give equal opportunities to all the students across the nation. Our stated goal is to be able to help out 1 million children locally and 1 billion children globally. We have grown very rapidly over the past year. We hope we can continue to grow at that same pace. Same time last year, we were only 5 schools. At the moment, we are sitting at 300. And the idea is to be able to reach out to about 20,000 schools in the next 4 or 5 years and then go global. A lot of the way we do that is we have a digital platform. We believe in building communities so that schools can have a sustained support as they build their local communities around them. And something, Gary, you would be very interested in knowing. Lots and lots of schools have successfully built this community of supporters, which include their parents, their alumni, and local businesses, as well as national businesses who come together to offer support. And this support could be in any form. It could be time, volunteering, for example, gardening work, mentorship, and people coming and talking, giving lectures, etc. It could also be talent, so expertise. So we've had many experts of different subjects. So we had Joe Foster, who is Reebok founder, who came in. We had Monty Panesar. We had many people who were STEM speakers, etc., who come in and talk to different students. It could also be any kind of treasure. So lots of schools, we have got many different ways of raising funds. We offer raffles online. We offer typical enrichment trips, visitors, if you have special visitors who you need to pay, or enrichment trips for students. We've had school raise money for their head teacher who was retiring. We have had people raise money for the infrastructure that's broken, or a torn astroturf or something of that nature, right? So all those things. And then finally, things. The fourth T is things, which ranges from laptops, could be anything basically schools need. So laptops, compost, laptop bags, board games. People ask for things, anything and everything that a school could possibly, chairs could need. The idea is a lot of these things, a lot of these T's lie unused in our communities and in our businesses. So for example, one school wanted to get some help with board games, and about 4 or 5 families in the local community got together and offered those board games to school.
So you're almost a matchmaker then, really, aren't you? You're matchmaking what people have got.
Absolutely.
And there's a lovely phrase, actually, a chap called Seth Godin, who's inspired a lot of our work. He says that art is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. But he says we are leaving the industrial economy and entering the connection economy. And if somebody Airbnb connects somebody who's got a house with somebody who needs a house, eBay connects somebody who needs a widget with somebody who's got a widget, and that's really what we're talking about. I've got your little film here. Should we just play that quickly? That's a lovely film we've got. Let's just play this.
Every child has a unique dream of what they want to grow up to be. No matter what their hopes and ambitions are, our education system should help children achieve them. But doing that isn't cheap, and per pupil spending has fallen by 8% over the last decade. Which means schools have little money left to upgrade facilities or fund extracurricular activities. With fewer after-school activities, we are spending more time on digital devices. And that's a problem because increased screen use is linked to issues like social isolation and childhood obesity. The Let's Localise vision is to tackle these challenges with a digital platform that helps schools engage with local communities. On Let's Localise, pledges can donate time, money or skills. And schools can use corporate social responsibility programmes to augment their resources. This will help to address broad social issues by replacing screen time and encouraging students to live healthier lifestyles. We aim to work alongside the government and re-establish ties between schools and local people, making communities stronger across the UK. But is this realistic? Yes, it is. Our surveys showed community-minded people across the UK want to contribute to schools. All they're missing is a tool to help them do it. Connect, collaborate and contribute with Let's Localise.
All the co-words there, Gaurav, fantastic. Co. I mean, people think Steam Co, the Co stands for company, but in fact we're registered at Companies House as a non-profit community enterprise called Steam Collaboration CIC. You know, that's what this is about. This is about collaboration. And I'm delighted to see you sitting there by Gary, but I'm actually going to ask Gary to come and move over here. What are your thoughts about that, Gary? I'll move you. You don't have to do much. What are your thoughts to this idea of...
I've been following the work of Let's Localise through Chris Dyson's Twitter feed mainly. Some awesome work that's being done, really inspiring. I saw the video the other day of the Year 6 pupil at Parklands having the gift from, it was a gift, but prize from...
Gary. Is it just me?
Sorry, Gaurav, sorry, what's the problem?
I can't hear Gary. Is this me or...
Oh, hang on, it might be me. Hold on a second. It's probably me. I've got to patch the audio through. So speak,
Can
Gary.
you hear me now?
Yes, I can, Gary. Sorry.
Can I just make it quite clear? That's because I didn't have Bus C enabled for channel 44. Just so you know.
Well, I was singing the praises of Let's Localise, saying that I've been following the work for a while now, following the Chris Dyson's Twitter feed and the work that you've done in Parklands. Really inspired by all the work that's been happening, not just in that school, obviously, but across so many different schools. And I saw the video the other day of the young girl in Year 6 receiving her prize for the competition from the Reebok founder. And it's just great. You've got to bottle that stuff because that kind of inspiration is life-changing. It really is. And I completely concur about the importance of community in school. We actually had a HMI Austin inspector working to us today, and he was talking to us about the importance of the triangle in school. And the triangle in schools is your curriculum, your children, but also your community. Those three C's are so important to a school's success. You've got to get your curriculum, your children, and your community in line. And to me, community is at the heart of all that we do. It's the word I use the most often when I'm talking about our school. It's a community school. We're here to serve the needs of the community, and we're here to support the community. And I just love what Let's Localise is doing in that area.
Thank you so much, Gary. One story, Nick, that comes to mind very early on in our lives. We're a little more than a year old, not very old in terms of corporate life. One gentleman came to our house one day morning. This is pre-COVID, 8 a.m. knocks on the door and says, "Hey guys, I'm gonna have a chat with you." And this is the guy we never met.
Every child has a unique dream of what they want to grow up to be.
Very often. So we just get him in, said yes. Then he goes, starts talking and says, "Well, I just want to commend you guys for what you're doing." He then shares the fact that he had lost his wife and he has 40 years of experience at RAF. And he was slipping into depression, not having had any way his children were at uni. He was pretty much staying on his own, and the loneliness was killing him. Till he found Let's Localise, which he then started to use as a medium to go to local schools and offer half an hour, 1 hour of his time, and that sort of started. And I rekindled his interest in life, which is it's amazing, which we never thought will happen as part of Let's Localise, but it was a great story to hear.
That's just wonderful, isn't it? And it reminds me a little bit of men's sheds. I don't know if you're familiar with that movement. Literally men hanging out in sheds. And I think they do fantastic work, and it's not for me to sort of criticise, but I feel, you know, entitled to express some excitement at the model, because I believe there are different people who have different needs, and some people just need a cup of tea and to sit with somebody, and I totally get that. I also think that a lot of people need a framework in which they can give and in which they can contribute to society. Nobody, particularly in this day and age of safeguarding, whether they could legally, and even if they could legally, a lot of people don't want to because people start thinking the wrong things about them. What we have to do is provide safe, structured frameworks that people can engage through, like the STEM ambassadors. I'm a proud STEM ambassador. They CRS check, CBS, DBS check me, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's really what I'm seeing from your work, Gaurav, as much as anything here. I think Claire's here. I'm trying to work out why I can't see her. It might be because I haven't got my Zoom settings right. Let's have a look. Oh, that's it. There she is. Sorry, Claire, I was ignoring you sat there. If I get rid of myself... Now I've got to do a bit of jiggery pokery here, because I've got to sit it so you're both sat beside each other on that side over there. So Claire, I'm so sorry. Speak to us and let's just see if we can hear you properly now.
Okay, can you hear me now? I'm speaking all the way from sunny Wakefield. Well, not sunny at all, rainy Wakefield in West Yorkshire.
Well, it's nice to know what you sound like. That's fantastic. So you told us very briefly about your apprentice thing. Just tell us again what got you into the business you're doing. There was a tipping point, I seem to remember, wasn't there?
Yeah, so after taking part in the apprentice, it gives you an amazing platform being watched by 11 million people. And there is a huge appeal to young people about being their own boss. If you say the word entrepreneur, lots of students I work with don't get the word entrepreneur, but if I say who wants to be their own boss, who likes money, their eyes light up when we start talking business. So having that platform where so many people watch me on TV, the day after I came second in the process, I remember logging onto my inbox and I had hundreds of emails. And I remember the first email I read from a school, Unity College in Blackpool. It's still going. It's still a school I work with 10 years down the line. And they asked me to go in and talk to the girls. I'd never been into a school since I left my own school. I don't think as a country we have a culture where people do really go back in as a strong alumni. And I remember going in, talking to the girls who were aged 13, 14 and 15. Lots of them had not met a young woman who worked, never mind had their own business, who was quite young, relatable, quite sassy. And I remember leaving that school, and we spoke earlier, Richard had the word renaissance, that we're going to have this explosion of energy. I remember having what I call the fire, the entrepreneurial, that fizz, the reason we all get up, you know, the reason you're organising this tour, the reason that Gary gets up to go to his headship, that fire, that spark. I remember leaving that school thinking, this is something I really enjoy. And from there, it just snowballed to now I have 400 speakers of all different shapes, sizes, gender, backgrounds, skill sets, and we go into schools all across the country working with students and staff. Amazing work. So this is a thriving business. This is obviously you didn't win the apprentice, so Alan Sugar didn't give you 100 grand to start this. Where did you start the business? How did you start it, Claire? Because it sounds like it would have been quite a task. I think one of the misconceptions, again, from when I work with young people, is they think you need loads of money to start a business. What you need is an idea. And this is all about creativity. I am useless at drawing. I'm useless at playing an instrument or drama, but I'm really good at ideas. When I say to young people, what do you need to start a business? They're like, money. You need a really good idea. So I had the idea to put speakers into schools to make it easy for teachers who don't have a huge amount of time to actually find them on one website, and you know that they've been checked. And I remember having the idea, taking the risk to actually have a go to see if it would work, buying the website name, which was at the time £8, having a website built, and then I started the business. It was energy, drive, and I believed 100% in what I was doing. Fantastic. Some people said it won't work, and then a few years down the line we've won awards. The business has won lots of awards, which is really, really flattering. But at the end of the day, it's every day I love going to work, working with so many different schools, and particularly what Gary was saying, that the pandemic has been challenging, but it's opened up so many other avenues and opportunities in terms of a virtual world, which I think before was dismissed culturally by a number of schools. we've all had to embrace it, and it has opened so many new doorways into opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, what fascinates me is if we're going to do anything for schools, whether we're passionate about business skills, whether we're passionate about creativity, whether we're passionate about science or STEM, whatever, nobody can do it alone. And I don't care what anybody says, nobody actually really cares what goes on in schools. They say they do. And I'm not saying they're heartless for not caring. People have got their own agenda, they're busy. And for me, the most important thing is to build bridges between schools and business, and schools and community, not just people in those schools with parents and carers with children in those schools, but absolutely everybody in that community, because they've got to understand that a happy school makes a happy community. I know I said this earlier. And so Claire, what are your thoughts? What experiences have you had connecting, building bridges, the moments where people in business, you've seen a light come on when they've realised how amazing it is to work with a school or to work with a child or to impact a young person's life? Have you had any experiences like that?
Over the last 10 years, we've worked in a collaborative way with nearly every big educational group, huge corporates, small businesses. For me, it's quickly finding out what somebody's motivation is, whether it's they need to give some money away before the end of the tax year. They actually want to get involved because they're emotionally connected and want to do good for their community, or they want to tick a CSR box and send their staff out to paint school railings or do mentoring. Once you understand somebody's motivation, it's quite easy to match them with an opportunity. But there is a famous quote that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. My business has grown organically just by working in a collaborative manner with projects which we think are really positive, aligned with how we feel, very aspirational. And I think after the last year we've had, it's a time that we all just need to have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely. I would totally agree with that. Gaurav, CSR is an abbreviation, a 3-letter acronym, corporate social responsibility. I mean, I would imagine that's a large part of your work. How do you have conversations with, because big corporations will have somebody whose job is CSR. The biggest ones have teams working on that. What's your message to those people, and how do you sell the idea of getting involved in schools to corporates like that?
It's very simple. In our case, we have a platform, right? So we grow very fast. And last year itself, we have added 300 schools. In 2-3 years, we'll have about 3,000 schools, 10,000 schools very soon, in 5 years' time on the platform. Our message to the CSR community, until now, not even a single business has said no to us, is information asymmetry. So what that means is you may come on the platform thinking that you want to speak at a school, or you may want to donate some laptops to a school, or you may want to give some funding to a school. But when you end up on our platform, you'll find out certain number of schools have different needs. So you can have your employees looking at different kind of volunteering projects, or you may have different kind of funding needs, or you may have different schools in deprived areas needing money or different things. So as an organization, the variety of things that you can do with the schools open up, which means that a school can get more of their employees, businesses can get more of their employees engaged. They can see the impact that their activities or contributions will have directly on the students. So we already have, even in a short period of 1 year, we have a reach of almost 100,000 students, and we have actually impacted almost 25,000 students with the activities that we have done. That means either laptops that we have given to schools through us, we haven't given through the platform, or to get some speakers into the schools, or doing some volunteering work that people have done, things of that nature, and the funding that people have been able to raise on the platform.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there, mate, because you showed me up, because I've been doing this 10 years and I'm still one bloke in a back bedroom. And there you are, because I think your sons gave you the idea, didn't they?
Yes. So my son goes to a grammar school. He turned up at a school and then found out that the school was really lacking in infrastructure and everything else. He wrote a paper, a little 2-pager, which was submitted to the council. Council gave him a prize because the idea was to connect the communities, get the goodness or the goodwill that lies within the communities, and channel that through a digital platform to the schools. And that was the start of the idea, and then we just build it up. And now,
So-
as I said, schools can ask for talent, time, things, treasure, everything on the platform.
Sounds to me like we should get you. We should get you some work experience with Claire, and he'll be on The Apprentice next year. Is the way he's going. Sounds like a fantastic young man. So I'm mindful of your time. I'm very, very grateful. I mean, today really is Gary frozen on us? Is Gary gone? Looks like he's gone. I'm going to get rid of Gary then.
Very intense look from Gary.
Yeah, that's what happens is, this is the old version of the software. And what happens is when people leave, they freeze. It looks a bit intimidating, doesn't it? I think I'll turn him off actually if it's going to be like that. That's hilarious. The funny thing is, you don't actually tend to know that somebody's done that until the end of the show. You think they've gone rigor mortis on you. So you are the two people I need to speak to really now. I mean, we launched this appeal, this tour. We had a great idea. People need it. There's no question. It's exciting. The children love it. The parents love it. The teachers love it. The head teachers love it. But nobody bit our hand off because they said, look, Nick, we're broken. We haven't got the money. We're flat out. Can you help? So really today is about launching an appeal so that we can take our Rocket Kids session, our Aim High session into schools across the country after half term. What I want to do is if we can get the money together, rent a camper van so I don't need to pay for hotels. And I found one, quite a nice one actually, 80 quid a day. You couldn't even get a hotel for 80 quid a day, would you? It's got a tow bar on it so I can put a little trailer on the back. So really my question to you two is, what are my obstacles? What's it going to take? There are 4 ways people can get involved. They can put £1 in a month on our Patreon thing. They could put 30 quid a month in and that will pay for one of these half-day sessions, or 50 quid and it's a whole day. I'm looking for 3 corporates for about 7,000, which will really transform us. And then at the end of the year, I want to put 3 trucks on the road. Next year, I want to put 22 trucks on the road. And I want to come back to Ironbridge next year because I want to run a festival, a weekend festival of creativity, of innovation, of entrepreneurship on this site. And we've been talking to the people who run this site. Obviously, they've been a very, very tough year, but they joined a bid team for us earlier last year for a massive project. So we have that relationship. My question to you is, what is it going to take for individuals, for businesses, what we call creative carers? People who care about creativity, children, and all our futures. What's it going to take for those people to give us £1 or 7.5 grand? What do you think? Claire, what are your thoughts on that?
It's noise, it's making noise, it's having a star attraction. If the product is appealing to them, so it hits their motivation, what they need to tick a box on, or if they actually do. There's lots of businesses, they might not even care what they're giving money to. They might just want to tick a box, so to speak. But it's all contacts, it's reaching out to people, and it is a constant, for me, beating the drum, talking about it, particularly in the school environment. Schools talk to schools. It's a domino effect. Once one school signs up, then it's the next school, and it's almost like a drop in a pond. Throwing a stone into a pond, you get the ripple effect.
I understand that, right, I see. So to make some noise, I'm quite good at doing that actually, as most people would testify. We've just had a little message actually. Gary, I keep thinking his name is Neil, but his Twitter handle is his surname backwards. So Sprackling backwards is Nell Carps. And he's put a message in saying, I'm listening in the car on the way home now. So you keep your eyes on the road and hands on the wheel, Gary, please. What are your thoughts around that, Garev? What's it going to take for Steamco to get some funding, as I say, whether it's £1 or whether it's 7.5 grand? Because you know and I know, to a big blue chip, 7.5 grand, 10, 100, you've got to have that business case. What's your advice to us, Gaurav?
So I think Claire said it right. So, you need to make sure you get a few believers. So there's a demand side to your product and a supply side. And a typical digital platforms, you have Uber, you have passengers and drivers. Likewise, in your case, you need to have schools buying into your product. Once schools buy into your product, they can then start to get micro contributions come in from their parents and local businesses. So for example, let's say the first school buys into your concept, says that this is what they would want their students to experience. They put a campaign up on your behalf on, let's say, let's localize. The parents and the local businesses come together, do the micro contributions. You show one success with one business, or maybe 2 or 3 successes with 2 or 3 local schools. It just slowly snowballs. People like to see success, and that's what will create it.
I think what the approach I would take is I would have a region. I would ask for an educational cheerleader, going back to beating the drum and making the noise. So Chris Dyson, for example, up in Leeds, he would be a perfect cheerleader. He's got a lot of followers. He's very passionate. He's got very similar values. You have one cheerleader who would drop that stone into the pond, or the schools would start following. You'd have one business, one success story, and then it would start to ripple from there. I think that's a manageable way. And I think obviously there'll be a learning curve as you go through the process before doing a huge national tour. But I think having regional cheerleaders is a really good idea.
That's interesting. Obviously, I've only got a week to get this one together, but I think moving forward I need 2 million for next year. And I think that needs a slightly more strategic approach. And I mean, is it okay to reach out to you two again for some suggestions and some connections? Is there anything you can do to help us get into schools in the next 3 months? What's your black book looking like, Claire?
I've got a big black book. I can contact my schools. I've got cheerleaders straight away pinging into my head in different regions, particularly in the north, who would get behind this.
Well, we're actually currently restructuring our board and putting a bunch of people together, a board of advisors, because I have a strategy. I don't know about you, Claire. I'm sure you'd know where I'm coming from. Sometimes it's easier to do it yourself than have a whole team of people. But you get to a stage where you do need a team of people. Guara's just laughing because he's just realised why I'm not getting very far, because I'm trying to do everything myself. But the point is, I think really, I think if I can get people like you to be maybe sort of sit on an informal advisory board, maybe flicking some comments in on a Google Doc every 6 months, that would mean a lot. I mean, do you think you might be able to help out with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. We're going to wrap up now. I'm going to finish very briefly with some words. I'm going to try and get Ty Goddard on. He's Mr. EdTech. And we've got an issue with his tech that he can't speak when you're speaking, so I'm going to have to shut the Zoom room down and then connect him up. Is that okay? But I think you've probably done more than
fine.
I've had you guys on for now. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your interest
welcome,
today.
Claire, and we'll try to stay in touch. I'll drop you a note on LinkedIn.
Well, that'd be great.
Cool.
I mean, it's just so great to think that you've joined us here in Ironbridge from wherever you are, in Bradford, in Yorkshire, in Bracknell area, in Berkshire, Bracknell Forest. It's truly wonderful. I can't thank you enough for your support, because it's these connections, it's this support, it's this passion that makes this happen. It's what Richard Gerver said, it's the art of collaboration. He wrote a book last year, The Manifesto for Education. And in that book, Richard Gerver said, we have to collaborate for education. And that's the future of this. There are schools, there are kids, there are communities. Thank you both very, very much. We got there in the end, didn't we? I'm going to thanks very much, guys. I'm going to drop you off now if you don't mind, and I'm going to get see if I can get Ty Goddard. He's got some fancy technology that he needs to use. You know what these EdTech type are like. They've got all this fancy tech. So let me just see if I can get Ty Goddard to connect up with us. It's all a bit tricky. This is. Fingers crossed. Let's give it a go. Well, that was a very, very interesting perspective. And I think today is about getting the broadest range of perspectives we can from across education, business and society. And a number of people cross those different divides as well. And I think one of the things that really struck me last year was the way that LGFL, one of our core sponsors, in fact, John Jackson, got us going, as we've mentioned earlier, how he embraced and collaborated with other people to coin the phrases and the vision of people like Richard Gerver, collaborating across the board. Now, this is the $1 million moment again. I've got to put my glasses on to see where to click. So I'm just going to kind of zoom out here a little bit and see if I can use our whiz-bang technology to connect me with somebody I've known for quite a while now and worked with a few times. Here he is, Ty Goddard. And this is the $1 million question, Ty Goddard. Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you. And in fact, I can see you, which is altogether wonderful. How are you?
That's great, Ty. I'm good, actually. I'm good. It's obviously a major disappointment you couldn't make it up here to Ironbridge today, but obviously you're down south. Where are you at the moment? Just remind me.
I'm down in wet and greyish Brighton at the moment, Brighton and Hove, to give it its full title.
And just talk about titles. What is your title? What's your kind of job title, job spec these days? I can't quite keep up, I must admit. You've been very busy.
Well, it's not that complicated. I've been the director of the Education Foundation that we set up in 2011, and then most recently chairing EdTech UK, which is a fairly new body to push and advocate for EdTech, education technology, digital learning to support teachers and learners.
And obviously technology was a big part of last year. I know there have been sort of varying thoughts around the use of education technology within the government and across education, some massively into it, some a little bit more resistant. I think everybody realised that technology certainly had a big part to play last year in lockdown with children unable to go into classes. I mean, what experiences did you have? What sort of stuff did you guys get up to during that time?
Well, I didn't really move much from Brighton. From March last year, I was working with colleagues all over the country on a DFE, Department for Education, funded project called the EdTech Demonstrator. Started off as a very small research project. It was paused, I think it was February, and then we managed to persuade the DFE that this was gold, treasure. And we had the project expanded twice, ultimately got the most amazing network, Nick, of teachers across 48 schools and colleges, helping other colleagues to, it was a time of crisis, to manage education technology at speed within days, so that they could provide remote learning and the full array of digital learning for their pupils and young people. So it was a horrendously hard year for that network. You had 48 of them, these nodes across the country that were putting their arm around people, saying, "Look, you can do this." People were finding technology in their schools that they didn't know existed. It was like cupboards being opened. And what we did was help to support this network, and we reached thousands and thousands of schools, and it was a superb job, well done, and I've got nothing but praise for the people that we met, Nick.
Fantastic. I mean, we've got this adage with the word art. I spent 3 years trying to work out a strategy and decided to put art at the heart of it. And then the Arts Council took art out of theirs, and the word art doesn't appear in their 10-year plan. It's all about creativity. For us, art is the combination of creativity, tools, and people. Creativity, tools, and people. So the tools could be technology, they could be cardboard, they could be code, they could be paint or whatever. What role do you think, what experiences did you see, what examples can you come to mind around the creative use of technology in some of those demonstrator programs? Do any come to mind, or any individuals, any of our brave school leaders, as we like to call them?
Well, they're amazing. I mean, they're amazing individuals. A lot of the people that appeared in our EdTech 50 actually came to the fore, mentoring schools, helping particular heads of department or subject leaders navigate their way through how technology could help not only build creativity, but also build community. And, let's cast back long ago, isn't it, really, when remote learning came to the fore. Lots of schools were still open for emergency workers. We all clapped on our doorsteps. But actually, it was these kind of networks that were the triumph, I think, of to our country during COVID. And you had people having live assemblies. You had live parents' evenings that were done all through the medium of technology. Fun, celebrating schools, celebrating achievement, celebrating humanity. And that's what surely creativity is all about. And I think that's why I'm really happy to be at your launch today. Absolutely want to honour your work too, and say a big thank you for what you do. And I think when you arrive at a school with your truck in person, or you arrive virtually, as we are now, it is a celebration of what being human's all about, and whether creativity is drama, dance, music, art, making robots, using the BBC microbit, using Scratch, doing whatever is about creativity and about its importance in a broad and balanced curriculum. And I celebrate, Nick, what you do.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, Ty. I mean, I remember that you came to our event at Barclays Tower, didn't you, about 4 or 5 years ago, where Ashok Vaswamy, the CEO of Barclays, stood up and said, on his watch, there'll be no child left behind. And that actually inspired our event in Ironbridge. And I'll never forget being in a school very nearby in Dorley, and there was a lad there. We were making paper rockets, and it's deliberately simple tech. Bits of paper, a bit of sticky tape, and a plastic pipe. And there was a lad sitting on his own that day, and I said to the teacher, "Why is he on his own?" He said, "Well, it's not safe for him to be with the other children because he's just been taken into care and he's a bit disturbed." And that lad, that lad had never ever been to Ironbridge Gorge Museum. And we ran the event a month later, and he came down and joined us there. And it was very, very special because we have to, there is a lot of talk about a levelling up agenda and making this stuff accessible to everybody. And let's be very clear, art, creativity, technology are not cheap. But if you can't find £15 for a BBC microbit to teach a child some coding, some creativity, some self-expression, to help them feel that they're part of this revolution, then we've got some priorities wrong, Ty. And I think the BBC, and I know you've honoured a lot of people in your EdTech 50, people like David Wales at the IET and people like that, Carol Allen, who've done incredible work with this simple piece of technology. Carol Allen would say this isn't pound shop pedagogy, this is £10.99 pedagogy. But, so what are your thoughts about technology like the microbit, the sort of lower ends, the robots and the tech? What do you think this means to young people, all these sort of things?
Well, if you hear young people talk, and we did, didn't we, at the top of Barclays? I remember that event. I think I popped in with my daughter.
That's right.
I remember meeting you, talking to you. I remember meeting the CEO of Barclays. Is that they've got their eye on the future, and I don't mean that they're all having a chat in a ski resort about the future. It's actually the reality. The reality of business chat is they need young people with deep knowledge, but also the ability to apply that knowledge. And I think it's that kind of creative interface. I think it's that kind of sense of making, collaborating, creating, and as you say, whether it's creating from paper, cardboard, as you do, launching your rockets to the moon above Coventry or wherever you happen to be that day. These are the elements that make us not only human, but they actually make us good, powerful citizens, but they also make us thrive. So I think, people who love EdTech, by the way, they love books too.
It's not binary, is it? It's not mutually exclusive.
No, it's not binary. It's not either or. And I think we've had a really dangerous rhetoric about. And there's a big debate now, isn't there, between people like Robert Halfon, who's chair of the Education Select Committee, writing articles saying that this fundamentalist knowledge push at the expense of drama, dance, arts, at the expense sometimes of a broad and balanced curriculum, I think it's got to stop.
Absolutely.
He's saying that. The chair of the Education Select Committee is saying, look, us as human beings are going to need other qualities in the future. And I think that's what STEAM Co is all about. And whether you're working at the top of Barclays Tower, or whether you're working on the ground down in Dorset with Gary and other teachers, or Chris up in Leeds, or wherever you happen to be with your truck, in reality or virtually, that's what you're saying to those communities. You're celebrating them. You're celebrating teachers. And I'd urge people like Barclays, I'd urge other companies to get behind us, get behind you on this creative crusade that actually is bringing to the grassroots. And that's why I think I'd sometimes say hello, a big hello to the Arts Council and a big hello to other funders, is with small amounts of money at the grassroots, you can affect so many lives and touch so many people's experiences. And look, after what we've gone through, all of us as a got to be celebrating humanity. You've got to be celebrating the best of who we are. And I can't think of a better channel for that than STEAMco, arts and creativity. So look, whether it's a microbit or whether it's a loo roll, you can change lives and change people's experiences.
Talking of loo rolls, I've actually
You're
got a
gonna
loo
reach
roll.
for a loo roll now.
I've got a loo roll castle there just for you, Ty.
So where's that? Is that Ludlow?
It's not Ludlow Castle. No, it's actually Loo Castle, believe it or not. But no, I mean, I know your time's precious, Ty. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there. As I say, art, the combination of creativity, tools, or technology and people. And as you know, I'll use this phrase a lot. Seth Godin says, art is what we call it when what we do connects us to somebody else. It is about that human connection. And I think that's what we've really seen in lockdown. I'm very grateful to you for your work that you do and the support and the kind words you say about mine. I know you're very aware of next year. Caroline Dinage and her team at DCMS are working very hard with a whole team of people, Michael Green in Birmingham, on the Festival UK 2022, which is a national celebration of creativity and innovation, which is great work. And, you know, and there's a lot, it's contentious. I mean, haters are going to hate whatever, but, you know, if the government is spending 120 million pounds on creativity and innovation, we need to make sure that's well spent. And what we're doing today is we launched this tour a month ago down at Prince of Wales School with Gary Spracken, who's here today, hoping that schools might be able to sort of pay for us to go and do these sessions, because we need some income, but we know they need some inspiration. We know those kids need inspiring. We know these teachers need a cheer up, and we know our brave school leaders need cheering up. Brave school leaders, they are brave because they know the value of art and creativity and education technology. They put their careers on the line to roll it out, to build it into their strategies. So today we're putting out a call for the funding to enable us to do the 6 weeks after half term as free sessions for schools that want them, and as many schools locally that connect into those assemblies on live stream. Let's connect communities. At the end of this year, we're looking to get 3 of our little drop trucks that you mentioned. I know you're a big fan of our STEAMco drop truck. Well, you saw it down in Brighton when we were there, I think. And so we want to get 3 of that, because it's all very well, we've got to scale what we do. You and I can only do so much. You've scaled what you do very successfully with your teams there across the board and the people you work with. But I've got to prove that the crazy stuff that I've been doing for these last 2 or 3 years can scale. So what we're looking to do is put 3 of those trucks on the road this year, at the end of the year, the last 3 months, if we can get funding for that. And then next year, we're looking to raise 2 million to put 22 on the road for Festival 22, a grassroots layer.
Oh, great.
What are your thoughts about that, Ty? I mean, what are your thoughts about a national year of creativity and innovation?
Well, I think it's fantastic, and I've heard Caroline speak not only about her constituency, about Gosport, and about some of the challenges in her constituency, but I've also heard her talk as a minister in DCMS, and I think when you've met her and communicated with her, I think she's beginning to know, and I think various figures across government are beginning to understand that this has to be about a recovery based on all sorts of things: job skills growth and creativity, job skills growth and the arts, job skills growth and ed tech. And I think what we're seeing is a realization, and whatever the phrase means, leveling up. And there's a House of Lords report out today that says, look, we need to put a little bit more meat on the bone about what levelling up actually means. And it should be about people, not just places. And that's what that House of Lords committee says. And look, and I'm sure people like Caroline, in her role as minister at DCMS, are going to be aware of that report. And I can't think, Nick, of a better investment for creativity and the arts than STEAMco. And that's what it has to be: grassroots, community, with our schools, not to our schools. And I think that will be the way that we energise and support. This is a key word. I don't want to hear about catch-up necessarily. I don't want to hear about recovery necessarily. I think it is disputed. All of the research is saying, look, it's quite variable. Let's not generalise. Let's listen to young people. Let's listen to teachers. But you know what? What will work is supporting our young people to learn as best they can, for teachers to teach in the best way that they can. But that needs support it needs investment, and it needs understanding. And I think if I was to say to the DFE anything, is understand that a broad, balanced curriculum that actually consolidates knowledge but creates skills, that celebrates our teachers, not write naughty articles in the Daily Mail undermining their work. I think that's the way forward, if you don't mind me saying.
Absolutely fantastic. I think we're on the same hymn sheet, and I can verify that I didn't send you a script in advance of this, and that's why we are working together.
Well, you didn't send me a link hardly, so...
Well, the internet went down, which is why it's a little bit cranky today, but we're getting there. I think we've done well on the back of a mobile phone. Ty Goddard, you've been a legend. I can't believe we only really met 4 years ago. You've been a rock all the way through. You made a fantastic film at Wellington College for us, and it's great to collaborate with you on your other projects. Thank you so much for your time today.
Nick, it's an honour for me. It's an honour. If I can urge people at all in my little sphere of life and work, is back Steamco, because backing the grassroots creativity projects actually makes our pound go further.
Ty Goddard, you're an absolute legend. Thank you very, very much. I'll see you in the pub as soon as they let us. Bye-bye now.
What is a pub? See you later.
You've forgotten. See you, mate. Bye-bye. Wow. Well, with friends like Ty Goddard, you've got everything in your side. You really have. And that's what we're feeling today. It's just fantastic. So let's move on. Absolutely lovely, lovely site here. The cardboard Coventry Cathedral here in Coalbrookdale, on the site where literally the world's first steam loco was built for a Cornishman. Richard Trevithick came up to get his boiler built because only the Shropshire lads could build boilers strong enough for him. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about a Shropshire lad, me, doing what he can, a dad. I'm delighted to say that in a month's time, I'm going to be the patron of the Ludlow Fringe Festival down there with Anita Bigsby and the team. They've got 78 events. I'm delighted to announce right here, right now, that I've been given the use of Ludlow Parish Church, the space at St Lawrence, a place where I was an altar boy, where my mum and dad have worshipped and been part of that community. I've been given that church with a 450 capacity. It's like a mini cathedral. It's just gonna be remarkable, and I'm so looking forward to that. We're doing an event that night, the 1st of July. As I say, in a building that doesn't look massively dissimilar to Coventry Cathedral here at Ironbridge, just down the road in Ludlow in Shropshire. We're going to be doing the Art of Dads. I've got some incredible speakers lined up. The first one is Homer Hickam, who's going to be calling in from the US, the author of the Rocket Boys book, which changed my life, a book my dad gave me, The Greatest Gift. We're going to be talking about the gifts of parents and carers and what we can do for our children and the role we can all play. And I've got some incredible speakers lined up for that. We're doing a 3-day Your Glastonbury weekend. We're going to build our Glastonbury Pyramid stage on my old school playground. I can't believe that. We're going to have a 3-day Glastonbury festival on my old school playground where I went when it literally was built. Down there in Ludlow. It's going to be fantastic. I need to wrap this up now because we've got to get off to Gaz Mail's private view. But just to say, this is the Inspired to Learn tour. And it's basically two things. When we go into schools, we live stream an AIM High 21 session. So it's a 45-minute live streamed assembly to get everybody buzzing, to get the kids excited. Live streaming to family homes as well on YouTube, as well as to class bubbles, to get everybody excited, because the next week, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we go back in force for the #RocketKids21 session, an assembly. If we only stay a morning, then it's just a rocket workshop for a class of children from across the school, ideally, children that may not actually have access to this sort of opportunity. And then we fire a dynamite rocket off for the whole community. If we get to stay the whole day, then the whole school does 4 creative activities: coding, making rockets, inventing and design. And we've got bookmaking, we've got ukuleles, we've got a whole load of stuff. So that's what we're talking about. But the challenge was that nobody was able to sign up for that. Well, not nobody. We had a couple of people, 2 or 3 people said they would, and they hope to get the funds together. But we want to make this happen. There are children out there that need this. There are teachers out there that need this. There are head teachers out there that need this. They need to put some icing on the cake of a year that's possibly a bit dry and stale in a couple of places and fruity and rich and moist in others. Oh, I think I'll knock that analogy on the head right there. So that's what we're trying to do. We want to take this to schools across the country, and today we're launching an appeal. We're asking you to help us pay for us to go into these schools because our grant fund money is finished. I have no income for the next few months. It's very, very difficult. So we need your help. If you like what we're doing, if you like what I'm doing, we hope you'll respond to our appeal. If you can spare £1 a month, well, join our Creative Carer Patreon. Put £1 a month into that and that would go a long, long way. We'd be very, very grateful for that. If you can afford a bit more, maybe 20, 30 pounds a month, you could sponsor one half-day session. And if you could put 50, 60 quid a month in or a down payment, we would go in and you will be paying for us to go into a school for a day of creative activities, excitement, inspiration, aspiration, not just for those kids, their parents, their carers, the teachers and their school leaders. And we're also looking today for 3 sponsors. We're looking for 3 companies, 3 creative carers, people who care about creativity, people who care about children and who care about all our futures. We call them creative carers, and that's what we're looking for today. 3 creative carers who will help fund our work as we move forward here at Steamco. And I'm just going to finish now. You'll be glad to know I'm going to world exclusive of a little film that I made just the other day. And I'm going to see if I can get this to play. It's an exciting film. I need to put some titles on it because I haven't had time to actually finish it. You won't be surprised to know. So I need to know why that hasn't changed. Why hasn't that changed? Because I didn't tick that box. And here we go. It's been a tough old year for a few people. I think it's been a little less tough for some people than others. This Wicks chap did his exercising, didn't he? And that he's well, he's not the inspiration. He's actually part of a screenshot of what we're going to be showing here now. Thank you so much for joining us today here, as I say, on a cardboard Coventry Cathedral, a symbol of aspiration, a symbol of hope, a symbol of determination, togetherness, here today in the heart of the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. Today we're launching a creativity revolution in the way that Darren Henley, the CEO of the Arts Council, went to Sunderland 5 years ago on the aftermath of Brexit and said, we need a creativity revolution. Let's ask what if. Well, we took heed to that, and this is what we're doing. And we hope that you, he, everybody will support what we're doing. Thanks very much for checking this out, and do go to the website where you can find out information. steamco.org.uk/inspired-to-learn21. Thank you very much. After the year they've had, we really owe it to our kids, to our teachers and to our communities to be inspired. But our schools are broke, and I'm just a dad with some cool tech and a few green screens, and I'm launching an appeal to help all our kids aim high. We're looking for creative carers, people who care about creativity, children and all our futures, who can spare a few quid to help us take this into schools across the country that really need it. And we're also looking for 3 sponsors too. I'm passionate about creativity, and I've decided to dedicate the second half of my life to inspiring kids with creativity. To support and advocate for teachers and the art of teaching, and to collaborate with our brave school leaders who look beyond the walls of their school for ideas and inspiration, like Mr. Walton, who let us run our own mini Glasgow festival on a cardboard pyramid stage that we built in his school playgrounds last summer, and Mr. Dyson up there at Parklands Primary on the Seacroft estate in Leeds. He let us build a cardboard Tracy Island and run a community art festival on it all over the weekend, and then fire a 200-foot cardboard rocket off. How on earth were we going to beat that? Well, another brave school leader, Mrs. Nelson at Joseph Cash Primary in Coventry, let us build a cardboard Coventry Cathedral in her playfields for a weekend art festival and to celebrate the fact that Coventry is this year's City of Culture. The cathedral is a powerful symbol of rising up from the ashes, rising against adversity, being positive, being optimistic and having hope. We're appealing for help today to take this on our Inspired to Learn summer tour, inspired by one of the UK's most creative head teachers, Mr. Sprackland, down there at Prince of Wales School in Dorset. We want to set up our Coventry Cathedral in school playing fields across the country and our green screen studio in assembly halls to live stream our Aim High Assembly to their community. We'll then help them run a day of creative activities with rocket making, coding, inventing, designing and making before a real dynamite rocket launch to send everyone home buzzing at the end of the day. Will you help us inspire all our rocket kids to aim higher than high?